channel. Weekly update. So I think I'm going to turn this into a series maybe, I don't know. But what I'm working on and what's going on in the garage seems like it's always changing. I get a lot of people asking, you know, to keep this updated or what am I working on. So I just think I'm going to turn it into a video, maybe do it every week or every other week. We'll kind of see where it turns out. So I'm going to kind of go over, you know, last video I made was the win in Hobbs, New Mexico. So, you know, after a race, there's a lot of unloading, going through data, going through tunes, and going through the logs. And, like, I spend a ton of time after a race reviewing everything. Like, it's fresh in your mind. You know what you changed each pass. Like, I like to go back through the logs, add a lot of information, and just kind of keep track of all that. So I know, like, kind of, you know, the surface, the power levels, the times I ran. I can categorize that and log each of those passes and have that information for future events. Like, data is invaluable for all racing, radial prepped racing or no prep racing. So I try to keep as much data as I can and, you know, track where I had the suspension and so on and so forth. So I did that, kind of cleaned that up, and then after that, I've been really after it on all the projects in the garage. My car is off at storage, and I'm trying to get everything else finished up. So let's kind of go through, and I'll show you what I got going on. All right, first up is Dave's car. So Dave's car was here for a while, and then we were waiting for the engine. So we put it up in storage, and now his engine's here, so it's back. I haven't done too much on Dave's car this go around. Mainly, he has been working on the engine and electrical. He got the engine and transmission in. He's got a new transmission for this year. He went to Hughes and got a Power Glide and their converter, so he made that switch. And then I don't know what else he's changed really with the engine, but the engine's in and he's really been cleaning up the electrical. If you could have seen this a little while ago, it was a mess. He's got it all tucked back there now, the fuse box and the PCM, and they've been working on routing all the wires really good and new like power and grounds and all that. So I did do the tube front end. You can kind of see we're not finished with it. We're still waiting to do this lower cradle. We're waiting on a turbo mount to come in. But yeah, so you can see like I did the tube front end up front. This was recently I did it. And finish it up. I still got to do some of the welds, but you can see some of the welding is all done. I'm really happy with how this tube front end turned out. It is looking really good. So now what we're kind of working on is the turbo kit. We've been placing the intercooler and the turbo and just trying to get everything mapped out on where he's putting it. It's an all brand new turbo kit, so he's got new headers on it, and we're just going to build it all from scratch. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. He's also making some changes to the fuel system. And those people that don't know, is I have been working the rear end of this thing too. So we did a solid axle conversion in this thing. Super cool. We're nearing finishing up on that. We're waiting to put the anti-roll bar in on this. We're just waiting a few links. I think they're on the way. And then we're going to weld up the anti-roll bar and get this all done. And then I'm going to do all carbon tin work back here and make it look super awesome. And then we got to mount a fuel tank and do some other small stuff back there. But look at this fitment on an S550. He's got the Alpha 1 wheels on it. It looks incredible. Like every S550 should have looked like this from the factory. It looks amazing. So yeah, this car, and then he's got it wrapped as well. Like this car, if you're new to the channel or you don't know who Dave is, be sure to check out his channel. He's got everything on there. David Van Voris is his channel. But this thing, I mean, look at that. That thing, it looks really good. So that's kind of where we're at on that. We're going to have a lot of good content coming with this one. Turbo kit, I mean, we're going to be starting just ASAP on it and getting it going. And yeah, getting this car finished up and get it out of my garage. It's in my parking spot. This is mine. it needs to go. The Camaro. This is a lot bigger of a project, and I have made a lot of good progress on this in the last week or two. I put a ton of hours in it after I got back from the race. I've got a few weeks off in between races. Like, okay, I got to buckle down and get this thing moving along. So it actually, may look worse than it was. You got to go take some steps backwards to go forwards, right? So I took everything off the front end. We had to finish up some the headers. We had to do some stuff, and we're having to shim the turbo. Anyways, we're messing with the turbo kit, getting it all fit up, but I had this header out because I was doing a steering knuckle. So the steering wouldn't clear this header. You can't really see great, but you can kind of see where it's got a brace in there, down there, and then it goes through there, and there's an extra joint in there. So I had to modify the steering. I've been having that done, but it works super good. It's nice and smooth. Turns really nice. So anyways, steering's done on that. That's been, kind of just lingering around. Finished it all up, got it welded. So steering, check. Next up on the list I need to do was the fuel tank. Fuel tank was rotate the different direction, and it was too far inboard, so we couldn't get the fuel out of it. So we wanted to rotate it backwards. So, as you're launching, the outlet of the fuel goes straight back, and get it over here. So you can see, I did welded on a bung there. It's an 1.25 inch line that comes out of this. It's really big. But yeah, so now fuel tank's mounted, rock solid, not going anywhere. Did the bulkhead, got all that. It's actually kind of hard to find a bulkhead for that. And then, moving on with the fuel system, the rack and pinion is really in the way of the fueling. So if you can see, the fuel pump is right there. It's on the back of the oil pump on this. And the K-member and the rack and pinion are really tight on this setup. So we actually had to do some super good maneuvering to get the inlet to the fuel pump around the K-member. I don't know if you're going to be able to see that too good. There you go. So you can kind of see how it goes around. It's got some tight angles. It's still good flow. Did the best I could with the situation I was given. But yeah, you can see how tight that is. So we got that going through there. And then, since there's a huge mechanical pump feeding from it, we didn't want to use normal line. Sometimes this line like this, if you get a huge pump, it can suck those lines shut. So we decided to hardline it. And that's what that is. Can you believe that? Look at this guy. No, not a radiator hose. This is a fuel line. Let me put this back on real quick so you can kind of see what I did with this hard line. Okay, so we're kind of under the car here. You see the fuel tank, and then you can see the outlet comes through here, and then it sneaks through the K-member, and then comes down in front of the oil pan, and then there's a reinforced coupler there, and then there's that aluminum that I was showing you earlier. So, pretty much the whole way is hardlined now. It's pretty cool. So just 2 silicone couplers on either side. Fits up there. It's the same, depth or down low as the oil pan. So no ground clearance issues. Clears the steering. Oh, hey, now you can see that steering better. There you go. So there's an extra joint in this. And then, I welded those up. So, and then there's bolts on the top so you can take it apart. And then you can take this joint out. It's just got a nut that holds it so you can thread it out if you need to get the header in or out. So, steering's done, and then hardline the fuel system, it's done. Also, moving along the list, you'll notice this transmission is in the car. We really fought with converter spacing on this. It just doesn't have a traditional crank that you'd put in an LS. It's got, a special rear flange on it. So the spacing was a little off. We struggled with that for a little bit. Pete at Hughes had got a custom spacer for us made. There was one part I overlooked, and we needed to get it machined. And just long story short, finally got it taken care of. And yeah, I'm happy with that. It looks like everything's going to clear. We got the right converter pull-out depth, and everything looks good. The starter clears, everything looks good. So I'm happy with where that is. We measured for the drive shaft, so we're buttoning up a lot of underneath stuff as well on that one. So that's a big win. Moving down the list, just knocking stuff out on this guy. So we also struggled. This has a external oil pump. So the oil pump just sucks from the pan. You can see this is the main inlet line, and it sucks from the pan. And then it sucks from there, and then it comes out, comes down, comes out, down, and around, and then feeds up by the factory oil filter area. So it's just, you know, once you start revving these really high, making a lot of horsepower, the internal oil pumps become unreliable. They aerate the oil. They're just not good. So you put external pumps on this. The problem with this one is there's no room on an Fbody. So they had a bracket made when they dynoed it, and it worked on the dyno. Everything was fine. When they go put it in the car, the rack was hitting, and you saw earlier the K-member was hitting. So there's a bunch of problems. The person before tried to modify this, and it wasn't working. It was at a bad angle, still wasn't clearing, and there were still issues. So we had a new plate water jetted that gave us some more options. After I did that, though, it was kind of flexing. You could put some tension on it, and the pump would flex a little bit. So I had to come back in here, and I reinforced it, and I actually tied it into the timing cover as well. So now it's super solid. All the fittings clear. I mean, you can see how tight some of these fittings are. And then we have a custom one there for the scavenge for the turbo. And then you saw the custom one for the fuel. Like, there's a ton of custom stuff on this. A lot of tight clearances, but it is finally check marked and done. All the hoses are hooked up. It's clearance. Everything fits. I am so glad and relieved to have that item checked off the list. So moving on to the next part. I actually got these rails on. So these come part of the kit when you, I don't know who these came from exact, but he had them already. They come with the kit. So when you cut out the roof structure, do the carbon roof, you weld these in. You just see they're welded in back here, there, and then right here. And then they spot weld together. And this is just for the weather stripping. The weather stripping comes along here. You can see I got it right here. I was test fitting it all. But the weather stripping just comes along here. When you do take away the T-tops, you need to put a structure here, so the weather stripping will go here. We're actually just about to bond the roof on this car. I'm going to come back in and clean this up just so it's fresh metal. We're going to panel bond the roof on, and you want super clean metal when you panel bond it. So we're going to come re-scuff all this up, wipe it all down really good with acetone, and we're going to bond the carbon roof on here within the next couple days. So it's going to get the roof on there. You can see the hatches back on the car. That thing weighs a ton. But back on the car, and now I guess let's kind of go to wiring. I think that's kind of the next step that I'm working on. Is the wiring. We got quite the mess going on in here with the wiring right now. I got the main harness plugged in. This is my template that I'm making, you know, that'll go right here. That's going to be the carbon panel that I'm working on. So we're getting that going. I'm just kind of planning the relays and learning a lot about the fuel tech system. You know, they have all the relays for power and fuses here. Going to have those all laid out really nice on the relay board. And then the relay panel will be on the relay board as well. Just kind of mapping it out. I figured out the coil harnesses and bulkheads. Those are all up here. We're getting all that figured out on how it routes and where it goes, where I'm going to be placing the bulkheads, and just really getting a good plan on it. I have another wiring update video coming that'll be out here in the next couple days because I am running the power and grounds. And you can kind of see those in there. I got those going, cutoff switch. That'll be my next wiring video is power and grounds. So stay tuned for that. I know everyone's really looking forward to the wiring series on this car. It's moving right along. This week is the week that a lot of stuff's gonna happen on the wiring. So you should be seeing a lot of videos coming up. So I think that kind of high level where I stand at on the Camaro. So really, both projects in the garage are moving along really good. A lot of good progress this weekend, and I'm feeling good. We got an idea on the catch cans, where they're going. The coils, we figured out where those are going. So it's been a lot of, you know, finishing up, you know, these odds and ends, mechanical, electrical planning. I want to get the roof on, like just lots of little stuff going on. And then I'm really going to make a push to get the wiring through in a timely fashion so we can,
get closer to getting this thing running and moving on its own power. Can't wait. Can't wait. But a lot of roadblocks that have been holding us back on this car finally got addressed in the last week or two, and it's a big weight off, I think, everyone's shoulders. There were a lot of unknowns that have kind of haunted us since I got the car, and I feel like we finally got those behind us, and now we are just moving forward full steam ahead. So looking forward to it.
All right, there you have it. Garage update. Hey, did anyone notice my shirt here? Streetcar Takeover class winner. Did you read the back there? Yep. Great shirt. Anyways, so quick garage update. What's going on? You know, I'm trying to get caught up and get some projects out of here. We're going to be doing a bunch of good videos coming up where time allows. You know, this isn't my full-time gig. I just do this for fun on the side. I work a normal 8 to 5 job, come home, hang out with the family, do dinner, put the little one to bed, and then I normally get out here 7, 8 o'clock at night. And then I work till 11 or midnight, and then the weekends, you know, I balance cars and family and errands and all that. But anyways, I'm trying to get caught up as good as I can. It's spring break, so I got a little extra time, so I'm hoping to really make a good push this week. We're going to be getting more wiring videos coming for this, and then Dave's car, I think I'm going to do a turbo kit video, so stay tuned for that one. And then we're racing in a week and a half. The local Amarillo flashlight shootout is not this weekend, but next weekend. So I'm really looking forward to that. I'm going to be getting my car set up. So long story short, tons of videos coming. Just hang out, stay tuned, make sure you're subscribed. We'll see you guys on the next one.